For the most part, veterans know the common secondary claims like sciatic nerve damage to your legs, secondary to your lower back, same with the arms and the neck, or erectile dysfunction from mental health medication, or anxiety secondary to tinnitus, migraine secondary to tinnitus. But now I want to focus on the secondary claims that tons of veterans should be service connected for that are very common, but you just don't know what you don't know. Comment below before you watch this which secondary claims you think the veteran community should really know about that's not talked about that much. Now, the first one, and this is my personal favorite, it is urinary frequency due to blood pressure medication. Extremely, super easy and very common. Secondary to hypertension, that is rated at 10, 20, and 40% by itself. So that 0% rating for hypertension is a very easy 10, 20, or 40% rating. Now, by the way, if you get value from this channel, hit like, subscribe, do all the things that help get this video in front of more veterans for those who actually need it. Most medications for hypertension are a diuretic of some type, which could mean the veteran is constantly using the restroom. So we're going to pull up 38 CFR here very, very quickly. And I already have it pulled up for urinary frequency. Let me actually backtrack. I'm going to show you how I got where I'm at. So this works for any condition. Google your disability, 38 CFR ECFR. So here we're looking at urinary frequency, then 38 CFR ECFR. Click enter, boom. That's the one that you want to look at. It's going to pull up 38 CFR. I'm going to hit Control F and search for urinary frequency. You can't really see it on StreamYard, but there we go. I hit Control F, I hit enter, boom, it pulls up urinary frequency. That's where we were at. And you can see it is rated at 10, 20, or 40%. There are other, I don't know what the heck just happened. There are other urinary conditions. We're just looking at this one specifically. And so if that medication from your hypertension is interval in less than 1 hour, or awakening to void, which is use the restroom 5 or more times per night, that's a pretty easy 40%. If you're taking the medication, get the diagnosis, submit the secondary, I would not recommend a private Nexus letter for that at all. And there you go. That is hypertension. Super, super easy. That's the first one. We're going to cover 3 others, or 3 in total. Now, the second one I want to cover is a very easy secondary claim, which is depression secondary to chronic pain. And this one is a big deal. Don't get wrapped around the axle of what chronic pain actually means. Yes, you can submit a claim for chronic pain. And what's most likely going to happen is the VA will rope that under wherever it falls into. So if your back is causing that chronic pain, you're going to be rated under that range of motion for back, probably. So for instance, if you have a lower spine rating at 40% and both knees rated at 30%, you're going to have some chronic pain. Okay, that is for sure. No doubt about it. You are in some pain, and hopefully you have some muscle relaxers or some painkillers for that. Now, there are tons of medical literature connecting depression to severe chronic pain. And this is not only a pretty easy service connection, but depression rated as mental health is rated at 10, 30, 50, 70, or 100% all on its own. So what we're going to do now is go back to 38 CFR. I already have it pulled up here, and boom, here we go. This is the rating schedule for mental health. All of these conditions here, so schizophrenia, major, mild, wherever that says, obsessive compulsive disorder, all of these are rated under the general rating formula. And here for depression, you have persistent, MDD, major depressive disorder, or unspecified. Most veterans I see are in these 2, but it doesn't matter. You can have every single one of these or just one. You're going to be rated one rating under the general rating formula for mental disorders. And you can see here 100%, 70, 50, 30, 10, and 0. Yes, there are mental health changes on the way that will come at some point. But if you look at where depression is at on the rating scale, you'll see it's specifically listed in the 70% versus all the other criteria. So let's go ahead and read it. So it's an or statement. Or depression affecting the ability to function independently. I like to describe this as like episodic depression, right? So you have all of these things to do, all these daily life tasks like going to work, taking care of your family, whatever your daily day-to-day tasks are, but you're depressed, and so you lay on your couch and you physically feel like you can't get up. You're kind of melted, right? It's almost like there's chains pinning you to the couch, and you're so depressed you can't function. And then all those to-do tasks don't get done. And then the next week you're scrambling to get those done, but there's more tasks that are being added on to that. And so that really starts this cycle of depression and your inability to complete day-to-day tasks. That's one. There are many examples. That's one example of what that could look like. But there we go. Depression secondary to chronic pain. Very, very common secondary claim. And there are tons of medical literature supporting that. You absolutely need to have your evidence in order when you're submitting that secondary claim. And the last one I talk about, and then I want to talk about the evidence piece specifically for secondaries because it changes. But the last secondary that's very common, but people just don't know about it, is plantar fasciitis and flat feet. Now, this is a two-way street here. Plantar fasciitis could cause flat feet, and flat feet could cause plantar fasciitis. However, the VA ropes these two diagnoses into one rating. So you can either have a rating for flat feet, or you can either have a rating for plantar fasciitis. If you have both diagnoses, you'll see your rating be like, flat feet with plantar fasciitis rated at 30%, whatever that looks like. Now, this one is specific because, yes, if you're rated for plantar fasciitis, is it worth going for flat feet? That answer is probably yes. And I'm going to show you exactly why that is. So going back to 38 CFR here, I'm going to go to the musculoskeletal portion of 38 CFR. Exactly how we got to hypertension is how you would get to plantar fasciitis, right? Google, you know what? We'll do it just for the giggles, right? Muscle memory here. We're looking at plantar fasciitis right now. Hopefully I spelled this correctly. Fasciitis. 38 CFR, ECFR. Boom, it works every time. Just go ahead and Control F, plantar. So this is ankylosis. We don't want that. If you just keep hitting next, boom, you see plantar fasciitis. And right below that, you see flat feet. And so we can look at both of these together. The reason this matters is let's just hypothetically say your left foot, you had treatment for your left foot on plantar fasciitis. It's unilateral, so not both. That's rated at 20%. It's pretty likely your left foot is going to develop flat feet. And so if that left foot becomes flat for whatever reason, and it meets this criteria up here, it's unilateral, not bilateral, it is now 30%. So that's an easy increase going from 20 to 30. Now, let's say you have bilateral plantar fasciitis. On each of your feet, you have pronounced marked pronation, extreme tenderness, whatever this says. In both of your feet, you have that bilateral flat foot condition. Boom, it is 50%. Now, of note, I know someone's going to ask, what's the bilateral factor for flat feet? There is none, not your traditional left side, right side, because the rating incorporates the bilateral factor within it. So just because I brought that up, that wasn't the plan, by the way, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. So if you have radiculopathy left leg, radiculopathy right leg, you're going to have a bilateral factor. Flat feet is the bilateral factor at 50. So it's just a simple 50%. You don't do left leg, right leg, or anything. You do the 50%. Boom. And that's it. That's how flat feet are incorporated into that. But there you go. There are your three secondaries that are very common, but people just don't know about. And I want to talk about evidence as fast as I can for secondaries. Do not just submit a secondary claim without evidence. At a minimum, you need not only a current diagnosis of that secondary. So if you have plantar fasciitis, you need to have a diagnosis of flat feet. If you have chronic pain, you need to have a diagnosis of depression, okay? You have to. It's not an option. get the diagnosis, and not or, this is bare minimum here. Get the diagnosis and get evidence indicating the secondary exists in the first place. So something saying, going to your primary healthcare team, saying, hey doc, I am in so much pain. You know, I can't play baseball with my son. I can't play at the playground with my kids. I'm really having a hard time struggling in life in general, doing day-to-day tasks. Please help me out. My chronic pain is ruining my life. That right there will be evidence indicating depression stems from your chronic pain. The number one advice anyone on YouTube should be giving is absolutely go speak to your healthcare team.